listening. I see you there. Listen to this podcast. Maybe you're cleaning. Maybe you're pooping out your bum. Maybe you're having sex. Now you get a musical intro to the podcast, the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. Stop. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast, episode number 34. Last Monday, this previous Monday, was episode 33. Today, we are here to remind you that we're not going to talk about trending things on YouTube because we don't care. Ta-da! I'm Matt.
I mean, I might not care a little bit. Depends on the thing.
Yeah.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Matt, if you didn't hear that, but that's me. I'm here. We forgot to remind people of stuff on Monday, so. But
okay.
Here's your reminder for that one. We're still here.
We're still alive and kicking.
We woke up today.
Woo! Yay! That just reminds me of that Nick Swartzen joke. It's like, hey, Grandma, how you doing? Well, I woke up today, and my heart hurts, and another one of my friends died. So I'm like, oh.
Oh, welcome back, listeners. Oh man, this I'm a little at the moment. I don't know why.
I mean, did you poop?
I did.
I mean, I know you pooped.
I to be courteous to you, I took a large poop beforehand, so I went to it in the middle. Yeah, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it.
I feel bad because I sit here and listen to you do your movie review, and you're like, "Oh, gotta poop!" Like right when I have to do mine. I was like, "All right, fine, let's just go." Myself.
I did it at the beginning because I wanted to hear the rest of your story. So I was like, "I'm gonna try and knock this out now." And then I started to feel bad, so I sit on the toilet all sad, like. These were my choices that brought me. What kind of person am I, really?
So are we going to start having, poop thoughts instead of shower thoughts, too?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I poop in the shower, finally.
It's going to be an accident when we're like, where have we come... Lauren!
Bob! Just call my mom up. What do you want?
I pooped in the shower.
I am 2 hours away from you.
Can you clean it up?
Please. It's in the shower, so it'll stay wet. Oh, God. Now it's gross. Oh, man. All right, Cody. So let's jump right into it. What is something you love and something you hate?
I'm going to kind of touch on something I hate first. Something that I hate is okay, so I know there's a lot of things that people talk about. It's it's 2018. How is this still around? Blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that. But the thing that bugs the crap out of me that's still around, people leave their fucking kids and their pets and shit in cars, in the middle of the day when it's super hot out. I don't care if you crack the window and stuff like that. And I understand, with pets, it's they have the separation anxiety and stuff like that, and I know some pet owners are like that too, but fuck, man, you're gonna be going into the store for several hours and you're gonna lock your pet in the car?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I'm not a huge fan of crate training or kettle training and stuff like that, but at the same time, if you're gone for long periods of time, even if it's to the store and stuff like that, you gotta leave your pet in there. Well, they're safer. Yes, you might have to deal with them peeing in the kennel or in the crate and stuff, but at the same time, at least they're alive.
Yeah.
How is that still a thing?
Man, it's like what you say, it's cliche, the whole, it's 2018, how is it still a problem kind of thing, but, we wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't a problem. I agree. So, on the dogs, I'm an avid dog lover and dog owner. I've had rescues my entire life, and so I feel like I know a good amount about it, but a lot of times kettle training isn't that bad. No. A lot of times kennel, or crate, is for a dog is a safe place, and I've had dogs who would see that as their safe place and can only stay calm and wouldn't let their anxiety get the best of them being in there. And even if they pee in there, it's far easier to clean a kennel than it is to clean your carpet. Yeah.
And not only that, it's a lot easier to deal with cleaning a kennel than, coming outside to your car and then realizing that your dumbass who left your dog in there and it's dead now.
Yeah, fuck your poor planning skills and, leaving your dog or your child in your hot-ass car. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, that's another thing that's been bugging the shit out of me is when people leave their kids in their cars.
How fucking stupid are you? if you're gonna come and get all mad and be like, why would you break my windshield? Why would you leave another living thing in your fucking car where it's getting hotter and harder? You fucking fuckhead.
Seriously,
like it makes us angry because it's such a fucking common sense thing to not do that. Like you know, like don't touch the stove when it's hot. Don't drink bleach. Don't leave your fucking kid or dog in the hot car.
Yeah, and like the one that like bugs the crap out of me is like, okay, so some people are trying to rag on the cop for this, which I think is so totally stupid. Like these people, those are the people that need to be like fucking bitch slapped with a 24-inch dick. But is the ones that like, so there was a video that popped up on Facebook about this cop scolding this mom because she left her infant child and 2 other kids in the hot car without the keys, like without it running.
I think you talked about it a little bit too.
Yeah, I might have talked on the podcast, but that just like bringing this up, and he was scolding her, like, you know, it's your, what the hell is wrong with you? She's like, I had to go into the store. He's like, then take your kids.
Yeah, fuck off. Like don't. That's a terrible excuse.
And he was just like, because of that, because of you, like your kids almost died. Do you understand? You can get your kids taken away from you now.
Yeah.
Because of this, like I'm here. There's an ambulance here. There's a fire truck here. All because you were too stupid not to take your kids into the fucking grocery store and stuff like that. And it's like, and then there were people ragging on the cop like, oh, he's being too mean on her. I was like, I don't think he's being mean enough.
Fuck that cunt.
Yeah, like seriously, fuck that dumb bitch. Like she fucked up. She needs to be knows that she fucked up. And I think he was like too soft on her.
Look, and we touched on it before. To be clear here, we understand like the word cunt in some activist groups and female groups take that as a serious like offensive thing. But she fucking earned it.
Yeah,
like if you can't see the fact that she's earned the title of cunt, like that's part of the fucking problem. The fact that people are coming to defend this woman and be like, oh, you know, accidents happen. Oh, what's happened? That's a fucking living being.
Yeah.
Like no good parent knows. Like every good parent knows the line of how not to get your kid fucking killed. Like. Pure and simple. Like, yeah, you might like test to like and see like if they'll learn, you know, on their own, like bump their head or something, but you kind of fucking know to not like give a kid like a loaded weapon or a sharp like fucking like knife or something like that. But
or leave them in 100-degree weather like, in their fucking car. Off.
And just like, and I understand there's like some people are like, oh, I'll leave the car on with the AC when I'm like, what if that kid fucking gets out of his like restraints and goes to the fucking like driver's seat and like undoes the parking brake? Then you have an accident on your hand. Like it's just so fucking simple. And I know the stuff like we're saying sounds like ridiculous, but it's ridiculous that this is still
an actual thing.
Yeah.
Like the only time like when I was 7. I think I was 7 when my dad started leaving me in the car when he had to run into the gas station. But that's also because I was old enough to know, don't touch this, don't touch that. He'd leave the car running with the air conditioner on, and I usually had my Game Boy.
Well, in the gas...
And I was also old, and the gas station, he was just running in to get us drinks.
Or to pay
pump,
gas.
Yeah.
And that's different because you are like legitimately coming right back. And I know some people are going to be like, that's hypocritical, Matt and Cody.
No, it's not.
No, because there's a difference between going into a store and viewing items, shopping items, and paying for them. You are taking up more time that way. When you are going to a gas station, you know what pump you're already on. You know how much you want to put in. No one goes in there and be like, oh, God, fucking,
and I also,
where am I at again?
And I also wasn't a fucking infant.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I was, and it wasn't in the middle of the hot summer or anything, and, like, I either had the window all the way rolled down, or, like, and it was because I didn't want to go into the gas station for the 10 seconds because I was playing my Game Boy.
Yeah,
like, it's not like that. It's when you fucking go into a grocery store for more than likely an hour, like, even 20, 30 minutes, like, that could fuck your kid up, especially an infant that you leave in the fucking car seat.
General rule of thumb, if it's going to take you more than 5 minutes to do it, don't leave your fucking kid in the car. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's one thing I hate. That's like the biggest thing I hate is that people are still leaving their animals and their children in cars without the air conditioner or whatever. Like just like for hours. Like it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So
what's something you love, Cody?
Something I love. So I'm trying to think just because like not a whole lot of cool things happened for me this week.
What about Hardcore Henry?
Hardcore Henry is pretty cool. I finally got to see that. I did pick up my copy of Deadpool 2. Love that movie. Oh, I got cool ass Punisher socks I was super stoked about.
Yeah.
And they're like so comfy. And also, like, it's kind of a bittersweet thing, but, like, I gotta spend more time with Dev and Audrey this past week. A little bit because, like, Dev has been in the hospital. Like, had to go in the hospital for a little bit, but, like, it was just kind of, like, it's bitter because that happened, but it was kind of sweet also, mostly because I got to spend more time with them. And I was, like, spending as much time as I can with them, and just, like, how hectic my work schedule has been lately. Like, it was just, like, really nice to actually, like, put out the time to hang out with them and just, like,
right,
you know, do whatever. Like, you know, we don't have a whole lot of money to go out on dates and whatnot as much, but, like, it's just it's always good that I got to spend, like, a whole weekend with both of them.
No,
so
that's real sweet, and like, yeah, I'm glad she's doing better. Like,
yeah, she's doing better. But
so.
like I say, it was just kind of nice being able to spend more time with them and stuff. Like, it sucked under the circumstance, but it was good because we got to, like, hang out together and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I got Audrey a new toy, and she loves that thing. It's annoying. I hate baby toys because they're so loud and colorful, and, like, one little touch and they go off. But
I know, right?
But it's also really cool to, like, just see how happy, like, Audrey is playing with it and stuff, and how exciting
it's
it gets.
the little innocent things that matter.
Yeah, so, like, that was a nice thing. That always, like, warms my heart and stuff. Or, like, when I'm pulling up to Dev's place, like, the past couple times, her and Audrey have been standing outside, and Audrey sees my car and recognizes it and, like, gets so fucking excited that I'm there, which is, like, it's a warming feeling.
Right.
So that's probably, like, one of the biggest things that I love is just, like, the little things.
It's the little things.
Yeah.
You gotta enjoy it every now and then. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
That's the whole part of, like, name something you love and hate.
Yep.
My turn?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know if I should
Oh, I gotta poop.
That's fair. I just accept it at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna change the thing I hate, because originally I was gonna touch on the issue of how our president and, like, vice president are making the most recent tragedies in our country as a push for immigration, like bans and stuff like that. But we made a commitment to try not to bring political stuff into this podcast. And as much as I want to touch on that, I want to keep true to what we do on this podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm going to change mine to something else that's bothering me. So the thing that I'm going to talk about that I hate, and this is, so bear with me on this. So I kind of came to the realization today that, like, or not today, earlier this week, that, like, well, it's not a realization, it's the acceptance. So I love the new Star Wars movie. I love The Last Jedi, and I have my reasons for it, and I've made my reasons apparent, I've made it apparent on this podcast that I do like it. But so, like, I posted, like, well, that's a little too personal, so I'll save it from that. Basically, being is that I like the movie, but there's people that aren't, and then I posted a picture that kind of started, like, somewhat of, like, a debate, but I was able to just, like, get across, like, it was meant to be just a joke, like, and my post was just basically about, like, Star Wars Last Jedi is the best movie we've had in a while, and purely just being a joke. But it still, like, caused debates, and I'm not calling anyone out in particular, and I would never do that. But it, you know, when I followed the meme that I reposted and shared to the actual page,
Yeah.
like, I just noticed that there was just, like, still, like, a lot of, like, hate for the movie and hate against people that like the new movie. And it kind of just, and this is going to get, like, super meta and like, hypocritical. Hippopotamus. So I know for things that we talk about love and hate, I always talk about shit that, like, people like. But the difference I want to make here is that this is our own personal, like, kind of space to vent this stuff. And so the reason I say this is because I know I talked about, like, Bon Jovi earlier on, how much I hate the shit about Bon Jovi. You can like Bon Jovi, that's fine, and I don't like Bon Jovi. Just know that that's the difference in this case. So I kind of hate the fact that people just can't like things that they like these days. No. And I'm a bit of a hypocrite in that sense because I have tended to be that person in the past where I hate a lot of popular things and I hate, like, a lot of hype trains and, you know, popular trains and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of realized, like that's no way for me to live, and so I'm continually trying not to be that way. But there's still people that are just, like, so very hateful about, like, anything that they don't like. And so when you like the thing that they don't like,
then they just drive it on through that. You're a piece of shit.
Your opinion doesn't fucking matter. You're a fucking idiot. You're fucking ridiculous, and like just like really hateful shit like that. And I'm just like, fuck, man. Like, why can't we just like what we want to like? Why can't we just enjoy what we want to fucking enjoy? Like, if some dude like fucking likes My Little Pony, then let him fucking like My Little Pony, whatever. Fucking if some dude likes The Last Jedi, like let him like The Last Jedi. If some dude likes the fucking Twilight series, let him like the Twilight series.
I draw the line there.
Well, that's the thing. There's a line between like having fun with people and giving them a hard time, and then full on just being like, you're a fucking idiot. Like I can't judge anything you say. And I fully admit I'm a huge hypocrite of that, because I used to be hardcore like that, and there's still some instances where I struggle with trying to not be that, but it still happens, and I don't want to be that way for the rest of my life, and I can't tell anyone else to be, for the rest of life. I think it's really gross.
It's okay. I mean, I know how you feel. I genuinely, truly enjoy the DCEU outside of Suicide Squad. So like my whole thing with the Suicide Squad was that I really liked it the first time I watched it. Like I thought it was fun, it was campy. Like it kind of like set out what I saw from the original trailer that it was going to be, and then I saw it a second time and I was like, like I started seeing the issues with it. Like I saw the issues the first time I saw it, and I was like, yeah, I see what's wrong, but it was fun. I think it was mostly because like I saw it with like one of my friends. Me and her used to go see a lot of movies that we know weren't going to be the greatest, but we wanted to watch them. Like the remake of the Ghostbusters. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that movie.
Oh, shots fired.
Yeah, I did. It was fun, but like that's how I feel about the DCEU. Is like there's all this hate on it. Like, don't get me wrong, there are issues.
There are very apparent issues.
But I kind of like stopped caring. Like you said, with like how you feel about like The Last Jedi and stuff like that, how like there's so many fanboys, like it goes back to the Rick and Morty thing. Yeah, but like there's all these hardcore
the creators
like
can't
quote unquote fanboys. Yeah, and like that's how I felt like with Justice League. I think that was a good movie. I thought it was a really good superhero movie.
Right, and that's the thing, man. Like, and I can sit here and disagree and be like, I don't think that was that good, but it becomes different when it was like, I don't think it was that good, and I don't think you should think that. Yeah. Like, but we can't just keep it to, like, I don't think it's that good. You can tell me why you think it was good, and maybe, like, I can change my mind about that, but I'd still be willing to listen to hear you out.
I was mostly just because I turned my brain off, and I was like, I want to see Batman fuck shit up, and I want to see Superman kick the shit out of Steppenwolf. And it happened. I was like, I'm a happy camper.
Well, and just, like, I kind of, like, just realized this shit, because, like, there's this person, this friend I have on my Facebook who loves everything, and like she just loves things that are terrible, and I'm just like, how can you like that? And then I just kind of like,
I know who you're talking
and
about.
I'm just like, I kind of realize that like she just learns to enjoy things for what they are. She's able to take apart like all the things pre-existing knowledge that she knows about, and all she's able to take the bad stuff out and be like, I still fucking like Batman versus Superman. And like
I like Batman,
when I look at it like that, I can respect it. I'm like, man, you're able to like something that everyone is basically hating on, and for that, more power to you. The fact that you can stand by it and be like, it's still a good fucking movie, I still like it, and that's the thing. It's just that no one can have their opinion and respect of you. Everyone has to force their opinion these days, and has to force that they don't like something. And
if you're against my opinion, well, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to keep forcing it until you accept my way.
I just hate that. Yeah. I just hate that.
Well, I mean, we were, to be honest, because this is kind of hypocritical of us, because for the longest time, we were like that with Harrison. Yeah. But we just like to shit on everything he ever liked.
Yeah, but, Harrison showed us, when Harrison showed us, he's just like, I like these things, and you guys are my friends, and you should like it. And we're like, fuck, he has a point. Like, yeah. Because, like, the fact is, we love Evil Dead, but like we have a friend who hates Evil Dead, but he fucking respects it. He's like, whatever. You guys are welcome to like it. It's not gonna.
You could like this garbage, but whatever.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just be kind, people. Yeah, just be kind. The thing I love though, and we got to get started on this fucking episode. We've been taking a while with this. Yeah. My be kind, but not my be kind. The thing I love.
My be kind.
My be kind moment. So earlier this week. I posted this on my Facebook as well. Earlier this week, I saw two intellectually disabled kids like sitting down with each other eating lunch. Mm-hmm. And the little girl was teaching the boy like sign language, and like there's moments in your life when you watch movies and you listen to music or you view art and you see depictions of like innocence and purity and joy, and you wonder like, what did that artist, you know, go through to be able to make this beautiful creation? What kind of example of purity was that? And that was my example of purity. Like, there's just these two little kids who are just like, this is how you say hello with your hand, and I'm just like, oh my god,
I just want to pinch their cheeks.
I am a terrible person. I am awful. You are perfect. There is nothing wrong with you. You are amazing and you are beautiful, and I am a monster. Like, it was really sweet to see.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, fuck, dude, we gotta be more kind to each other.
I know.
Like, this is just too damn sweet. These two, like, kiddos who just, like, fucking, like, they don't care about what people tell them. They're just being friendly to each other, eating their lunch, and, like, teaching sign language, and I'm like, god damn it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so beautiful. So that's the thing I love and hate. And with that, let's get right to the shit. So let's fucking do it. Today we are talking about 2 Stephen King movie adaptations from his books. So the first one we're going to go into is, do you want to do it or do you want me to go?
You go. I think I went first last time.
You did win first last time.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so I will go. So we both, like I said, we picked 2 books that were adapted into movies that are Stephen King creations. And so mine was Stephen King's 1408. That came out in 2007. It was directed by Mikael Hafstrom and written by Matt Greenberg, Scott Alexander, and stars John Cusack, Samuel Jackson, and Mary McCormick.
Yeah, seriously, Samuel Jackson was in everything.
He's in everything. He's tired of these motherfucking ghosts in this motherfucking hotel, I think. A man who its synopsis is, a man who specializes in debunking paranormal occurrences checks into the fabled room 1408 in the Dolphin Hotel. Soon after settling in, he confronts genuine terror. So, I wanted to do this movie because I actually thought it was far better than the flack it was getting, and a lot of people didn't like it because it wasn't as like good of an adaptation compared to the book, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could actually argue that about a lot of earlier Stephen King movies.
Well, and we made that point in our last episode with the comic books.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the books are going to be better because they're the original creation and have more info in it. So let's try to love this movie for what it is. Mm-hmm. So the pros of this movie...
That goes back to just enjoy it for what it is.
It's just
exact.
Be kind. So pros. This is actually like a very visually stunning movie in its own macabre way. So a good like example of this is like when Mike, that's the character that John Cusack play. Cusack. John Cusack plays. He stays in the beginning. He stays in this room in this hotel that he's going to like debunk like another paranormal like occurrence there, and so like this room is like it's just very like small. It's sharp like a sharp roof corner, kind of like that, very like slanted, and it's very desolate in the room. There's not a lot going on, and it's stunning when you actually take a second to like step back and look at it, of how like but how macabre it actually is, because it's very subtle with like its macabre influence as it slowly gradually becomes more and more macabre and more dark throughout the movie, and that's what I love, because it's like that is like the stay, and there's like one of the main things in any Stephen King story is there's always macabre in it, and he'll either throw it out heavy or he'll slightly very small amounts put it in as the story progresses. It makes you feel more uneven and uneasy as you go through and like experience it, and that's how I felt with the atmosphere and the visuals in this movie, is that it really does capture that macabre Stephen King vibe. And then Mike himself is a very interesting character. He's not necessarily a hero, but he's a mystery of a person. Like, you don't really get many characters who come on right away who you want to learn more about. There's some you can kind of pinpoint like their character and like their whole backstory like within seconds, and there's just a lot going on with Mike that you can see like he wants to be kind to his fans, but he also doesn't want to deal with people. Like he wants to get away, but he wants to be home. Like he's very conflicted character, and that's something that I enjoyed seeing in this movie is a very conflicting, interesting character, and I'm gonna go into like why that's a good thing soon.
Yeah.
So going forward, as he goes to the Dolphin Hotel, the chemistry between John Cusack and Samuel Jackson's character, like when Samuel Jackson is trying to convince John Cusack's character to not fucking go into like that room, he's like, I'm not going up there, and you're not going up there, and John's like, no, I'm not, and like I could have sworn, and like after John Cusack was like, yes, I am going into that room, Samuel Jackson's about to be like, motherfucker, do I look like a bitch? I said, do I? It just like goes into a tangent, but he doesn't, and that like. I've always seen Samuel Jackson as a very like eccentric like roles that he takes on. They're very over the top, very ridiculous, and he does a really good job with it. And John Cusack has always been very like mellow and like low key and like even melancholy to some points. And just they're kind of like two opposites on different sides of the spectrum, and their chemistry is really done well in this movie. And then I also like that there's no explanation for 1408 aside from the description of evil fucking room, as per se by Samuel Jackson. And like originally I was gonna make that a con, but I'm like, no, because 1408 I think in itself is a metaphor. Like I think it's a metaphor for Mike's character in this movie, and I like that it can't be explained, because in this one case it's not the number 1408, but it's what's within and what's happened within the room. And the fact that Samuel Jackson's character doesn't tell you everything that happened makes it that more uneasy and adds to that macabre atmosphere. It makes it more unsettling throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like the fact that they don't really explain it. Like it's up to, the viewer to interpret what that is. It's up to, the audience to interpret what 1408 is. And then I like how Mike does thoroughly try to approve the hauntings in 1408. So like when shit starts to get crazy, disprove, my mistake, to disprove the hauntings in 1408. So like when shit actually starts to get crazy and like he starts seeing people and starts seeing things, he doesn't give up. He's like, this isn't fucking real. Like I know it isn't. And like he's really pushing through to like disprove all these hauntings. And so like
if he feels a tickle in his bum, he's like, I just have to poop.
Yeah, right. It's like that's obviously my butt hair's telling me I need to go, and that's what I love about it. And it's great that he doesn't give up, because in a lot of these type of movies you would see just the like something get thrown across the room and like they'd be like, well, it's haunted. And generally like yeah, that's like a good like reason to believe it's haunted. But Mike's character would see the plant go across the room and be like, obviously the air vents are on too high. Or some shit like that.
Like the dresser like just starts floating in midair. It's like, look, the air vents are way too high.
Obviously, when you installed the curtains here, you installed them into the dresser. So now when I open up the curtains, lifts up the dresser. See,
that's why it's
science.
It's so hard to open the curtains.
So, but I love that I love his persistence to not give up on disproving all this stuff. And then, so coming back to Mike being an interesting character, John Cusack excels at being the majority of the focus of this film, because the majority is just him in this room surviving with his own psyche and his own happenings in this room. And he does a really good job to it, because this really takes the opportunity to delve into this interesting, mysterious character. And it's done so well, and it doesn't like spoon feed you, and it doesn't at the same time leave you like within the midst of everything. Like when you really take this movie in and you really look at it and you really take it from like an outside perspective, like it's a good movie. And the fact that John Cusack carries most of the scenes by himself is there's some, what's the word, of accolades.
Yeah,
there are accolades and praise to his acting ability. So that in itself makes me love this movie, makes this movie worth it. But I do have cons, as always. So there's a point in the movie where like John Cusack's character Mike notices that the heat is rising like really rapidly within his room. And so he calls up like the hotel engineer, and he's like, hey, can you come fix my AC? And then so this is what I'm going to make it a con. So first of all, the hotel engineer I can't remember if he did or didn't know it was room 1408 when he went up there. So I'm not going to put that one in. But when the hotel engineer got to his room, he just, like, talks him through, like, how to fix his AC. And that kind of pisses me off because he got up there, realized what room he's in, and he's just like, oh, I'm not coming in there. And, like, I was like, didn't you know what room it was when like, Mike's character made the call?
Yeah.
Like, it's somewhat, like, I'm pretty sure, maybe I don't know hotels how it works.
Because, like, he says, like, yeah, my room's broken in, what room number 14? I'll be right up there. And then as he got there, he's like, wait a minute.
Right. But, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if this room is so, like, fucking haunted and, like, evil as they say throughout the movie, wouldn't, like, they mention that? But, like, who sends out here? How'd that conversation go? Just like, hey, Dave, yeah, AC in a hotel is not working. Oh, what room? It's kind of like, it's like between 1407 and 1409. If you add 4 to 1404, you would get the room. Like
-2 from 1410.
Like, it's kind of like, if you multiply this room, you would get, like, 14, like, you know, just, you know what I'm talking about? You know what do you know what, Dave?
Just
like,
go, Dave.
Like, how the fuck did he, like, so he would have to know, like, it was obviously, you know, fucking 1408, so why didn't he just fucking tell Mike's character how to fix the AC through the goddamn phone? Because, like, fucking, he brings his toolbox up all the way to the fucking room and doesn't even, like, throw the toolbox in. Like, fucking, I'm just like, if you're already at the room and, like, you're putting this much effort, at least, like, throw the dude, like, a fucking, like, hammer. Like,
he doesn't want his hammer to be cursed.
Cursed hammer. Cursed hammer. And that's the next Stephen King book, The Hammer. Like, but, like, and I mean, like, he doesn't need a hammer to fix the AC unit, but still, just, like, fucking, like, if he knew it was 1408, why didn't he get the full information over the phone with Mike and be like, so what you gotta do is open it up and fix the little mercury dial. Like, fucking, it just, that I made it a con, because that seemed to make no sense to me. And then the supernatural happenings in this movie are more dickish than scary in the beginning. So, I understand, like, spirits will progressively get more aggressive and do more crazy shit, but they just come off really dickish when he's first in that hotel. Like, it's just like,
what if
like,
we replace one of his razors with a female razor? Oh!
What if I replaced all your shampoo with toothpaste? Ooh!
Hey, you know what we should do? We should tie his shoelaces together.
Ooh! Like, they fucking, like, so, like, all that happens is, like, the radio turns on, and he turns it off, and it turns back on, and it's just, like, playing loud music. I was like, so it's an angry teenager? Like, what the fuck? And then, like,
no, I want to listen to my music.
And then, like, it just, like, then there's hot water at some point, and I was like, I knew you wanted cold, but how about hot? And then, like, Mike's just, like, fucking staring out the window, and the window just, like, shuts, and, like, I think it, like, shuts, like, right behind him, and it's just like, no cool!
No fresh air for you!
This room's gonna get stagnant and stuffy! Like, I'm like, you're just kind of a dick more than anything. Like, stop being a dick, Ghost. Like, if you're gonna do shit, like, throw a dresser across the room. I don't fucking know. Just, like, really? Like, and then there was also a point, like, within the movie where, like, he sees, like, a hallucination of his wife, but doesn't recognize her at first, and that kind of just bothered the shit out of me, because I'm like, would you recognize your own fucking wife? Like, I'm not, like, it wasn't the biggest deal in the world, but it just kind of just bothered me. So I'm just like, if I saw, like, fucking, like, a hallucination of Lauren, I'd be like, oh, hi, dear. Like, I would be like, who the fuck is that? I swear I've seen her somewhere.
You should do that next time you actually see Lauren. Just like, who the fuck are you? Yeah. What are you doing in my house?
Get out! So it's like, how do you not recognize your own fucking wife? Like, I don't know, that just kind of bothered me, but, again, it's not that big of a con, but I still made it a con anyways. And also, so there's a point where, like, Mike's investigating, like, the air duct in his, like, in 1408, because he's like, I think he's hearing noises or can smell something rancid coming from it. Mm-hmm. And so as he's crawling through, he sees a dead body. But there's a way to avoid the dead body. Instead, what does Mike do? He goes to the dead body. And why do they always go to the fucking dead body? I understand, it's a scare thing. Like, it's to make a horror, it's scary, but it's just like, it's like, oh god, there's a dead body in here. I should go touch it. I should really go touch it. I think the local police and mayor would appreciate it if I touched this dead body.
Let me get a big stick.
Let me put all my prints over this possible evidence to a murder case. Let me just ruin this for some family who's been looking for answers and justice their entire life.
Yep.
Like, who fucking goes towards the dead body?
Mike
fucking goes to his dead body. And, like, I made that a con too, because it's just like, don't go towards the fucking dead body. Don't touch the hot oven. Don't drink bleach. Don't leave your kid in the car. Like, just for fuck's sake. With that being said, I do love this movie, and I know I've said this term before, but this is a perfect rainy day movie. This is a perfect date night movie.
All your movies are perfect rainy day movies.
Because you should watch horror during rainy. Can you watch a horror movie during, like, sun time and kids are playing? Does it get the same effect? I know I do too. But point being is that it's at its best when it's, like, rainy or dark, and this movie does that really well. It does darkness, it does macabre, it does exploration of you know, a depressed psyche very well, and I love this movie because of that, and I don't think it deserves as much hate as it gets. You're more than welcome to still hate this movie because it's not as close to the books, but this movie on its own, and I said it the same thing with Constantine, I'm saying with this, is great. And it deserves so much more attention, especially for the fact that I don't feel like we don't have enough horror movies with Samuel L. Jackson in them. And so I love this movie, and I'm going to tell you guys, check it out and don't pass it up. So a couple interesting facts is that in its standard edition, the DVD runtime is exactly 104 minutes and 8 seconds, referred directly to the movie's title. This also makes the DVD stop playing at precisely 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 8 seconds. Again, referring to the title. Ooh. In the movie, John Cusack's character says to his recorder, "Hotel rooms are just naturally creepy places, don't you think? I mean, how many people have slept in that bed before you? How many of them were sick? How many were losing their minds?" Stephen King wrote this in his explanatory note of 1408 in his compilation book of short stories. Yeah, and I saw that too. While addressing his audience at the book signing, Mike says, "Stay scared." This is a phrase traditionally used by director George A. Romero, a friend of Stephen King's. Romero has said this at numerous conventions and often uses it as a part of his signature. Do you want to read one, or do you want to move
on? Yeah, actually. At one point in the movie, Mike wears a hat that says, "Paranoia is total awareness." This is a nod of one of Stephen King's favorite quotes: "Perfect paranoia is perfect awareness."
And with that being said, that was my review for the movie 1408. So now we will move on to Cody.
So I did a more recent Stephen King adaptation because, you know, most of the movies, a lot of the like Stephen King adapted movies that people know are like the original It, and of course there's the remake.
Yeah,
but
Shining.
You know, The Shining. It's all older ones. The Shining, Carrie.
Yeah. Shawshank Redemption, I guess.
Shawshank Redemption.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park isn't Stephen King.
I know, but
get out. That's Steven Spielberg.
You gotta admit, it'd be pretty cool if it was. Like,
I know.
Like Stephen King wrote that.
So I did. It's a Netflix original movie, and of course he leaves. Whatever. It's a Netflix original. If you guys have Netflix, it's on there, of course. I did Geralds Game, and so the synopsis is: while trying to spice up their marriage in their remote lake house, Jessie must fight to survive when her husband dies unexpectedly, leaving her handcuffed to their bed frame. It was directed by Mike Flanagan. It was written by Mike Flanagan and Jeff Howard, and it stars Carla, I'm going to butcher this name. Carla Gugino, Bruce Greenwood, and Chiara Aurelia.
Aurelia, what are you talking about? Sorry.
I hate my life.
Do you want me to just go get coffee and give you a second here?
So I was only told about the movie by one person, one of my coworkers, a little while ago, and she said she really liked it, but it's definitely just a movie that she would only watch like once. And so like I I decided to watch it mostly because like originally wanted to do It, but that's such a more well-known one, and I was thinking like this one isn't super well-known, especially since it was straight to Netflix, but like it was good.
Yeah, and and I know you struggled between this and 1922.
Yeah. And so I ended up watching them both, but like I feel like I wasn't able to give 1922 like all the attention it deserved, because like I enjoyed that movie too.
Yeah.
And I honestly enjoyed the ending to that movie a lot better than the ending of this movie. Like,
which is interesting why you picked this movie or that one.
Well, it's because like so when I was watching 1922, it was hard for me to like really understand what the dad was saying, because he had such a thick Southern accent. And I usually watch movies with subtitles, but I was watching it downstairs with Harrison, and also Harrison was doing homework. And so, fun note about Harrison: whenever he reads or he's doing homework and he's learning something, he talks a lot to himself.
Hey, you got to get through it somehow.
I know. I mean, like I'm not like dissing Harrison on anything. It's just the fact that like, you know, he would always just like pop up randomly throughout the movie and just like go, "Did you know this?" And I'm like, dude.
Here's the thing. Like, so podcast My Favorite Murder. For any of our listeners who do listen to that, their producer on there, his name is Vince.
Yeah.
And so Vince is kind of like a somewhat mascot for the show.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure Harrison is our somewhat mascot.
Yeah,
for
pretty
our
much.
show.
We talk about him so much on here, and I didn't. Like, I was gonna put the time in to watch it a second time in my room, where I was like, you know, kind of on my own, so I could just like really pay attention to it and take notes. But like, don't get me wrong, like I still got enough out of it where I could have done a review off of it, but I don't know, just something about Gerald's Game, just it stuck out to me a little bit more. And so like I think it was more just like it's a little more relatable.
Well, it's like what one of our listeners in our most recent participation corner said, is that when like Stephen King delves into like psyche, like psychological stuff, that's when it's more terrifying, and that's like what Gerald's Game does.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot more psychological, because 1922, I'm just gonna basically do a review about both, but it was like, so 1922, like when you think about it back in the time period, because synopsis of that is that a farmer ends up killing his wife because his wife wanted to sell the land that she inherited from her dad. It's not a spoiler, it's in the synopsis.
Right.
That she inherited from her family, and she wanted to sell it and move to the city. And all he knew was the farming life. And he's like, this is good land. Like, we can make a life here. It's good, wholesome living. And she wanted to open a beauty clinic, or not a beauty clinic, a fucking dress shop, because she was kind of like a city girl, and she wanted to be a city girl, and right. She knew a lot about fashion and everything. And so he ends up killing her, and then like all the pretty much like the guilt of her death started weighing on him. But in Gerald's Game, the thing I liked about Gerald's Game more than 1922 was that I felt like it was definitely way more of a Stephen King thriller. Because if you notice in all of Stephen King's movies or even his books, the most minute detail will play such a role in the movie. Like, just the smallest thing that you'll kind of overlook. And so that's why I like Gerald's Game so much, is because every little detail to the movie in the first 10 minutes, like, is such a big part of the movie later on. Like, plays a big role into it. And so some of my cons that I like, my pros. I want to do pros first. My pros.
Just breathe. You're gonna be all right.
My pros for Gerald's Game is that every little detail played a key role throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Like,
and so, like, in the beginning of the movie, Gerald and his wife, I always forget what the wife's name is. They say it so many times. Jessie. So, like, Gerald and Jessie are driving to the cabin. It says right there.
Oh, okay.
So this song is playing. I can't remember the song name, but, I mean, if you heard the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 soundtrack, it's in that one.
If you guys can find it yourself.
Yeah, which, sadly, this movie kind of ruins that song for me.
Is it, it's not ELO, is it?
I don't think so. I don't remember. I don't remember. Anyways, so that song's playing on the radio, and he puts it in. So the whole point of them going to the cabin is to spice up their sex life and try and like reignite a flame in their marriage that they lost. And he like puts his hand on her leg and starts lifting up her dress, and she like just grabs his hand, like pats it. I think she kisses it and then just like holds his hand instead.
Yeah.
Because it made her very, very uncomfortable. Like you can throughout the whole movie, like you can see how uncomfortable she was, like she is, and like in the short amount of span, like that they actually show like how uncomfortable she is with like these sexual things that he's doing.
Yeah, anything with her body, really.
Yeah, like she's very uncomfortable, and there's a reason for it, and so she does such a good job acting out those things with just small things. Like they're just small little tells from her. It doesn't have to be like this huge like, don't you fucking touch me and shit like that. Like there's a moment where she explodes like that, but like she does such a good job at doing that. And then like she also has on the radio, you hear about a grave robber.
Yeah.
That's been robbing graves and mutilating the corpses and stuff. And it's just for like 3-4 seconds that you hear that on the radio, and that plays a big part in what happens in the movie. And it's like it's really cool when that happens. And another pro that I have is like, so when Gerald finally dies, like you can see her in denial, and like he ends up dying and falling on top of her after he chains her up, or handcuffs her to the bed and stuff like that. And so she's like, wake up, you're okay, and he's all limp, and like you could tell he's dead, but she's in such denial. She's like, no, wake up, you're okay, like you'll be fine. And then he just plops on the floor and like ends up, and she's like, oh god. And so...
And the grave robber you're thinking of, like, he's actually called the Moonlight Man.
Yeah.
So, I was just helping you out.
But you don't know that until later on in the story. Spoiler.
What does it spoil?
I'm just saying, they don't call him the Moonlight Man until later on in the movie.
Oh my god, Moonlight Man.
God.
Of course, he's part of the Sailor Scouts.
Jesus.
Like, what are they going to say?
Anyways, so, like... one of my cons is actually a big key point to the movie is that they leave the front door open, and like when the Gerald's like taking Jesse to the bedroom and everything, she looks back and sees the front door is left open.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I don't care how much caught in the moment I am. I always like go, hold on a second, shut the door, and then go back. Like,
yeah, like
especially if Gerald's like needing to get ready, and then she wants to get ready. Like, I would turn around and shut the door.
It doesn't matter if you're on sexy vacation time.
So, like, that's one thing that kind of bugs me is that they left it open instead of like, like it would be different if like Gerald went to shut the door, but he didn't push hard enough, and it just like creaked open, and you can hear the door open. No, they just fucking leave it wide open. Right. Knowingly, like they just walk into the house and go straight to the bedroom. It's like,
and she even points out, she's like, I don't think you should leave the door open, or what about the door?
Yeah,
and he's like, don't worry, it's gonna be fine, babe.
Yeah, so like that's one thing that bugs me. Like that bugged me a lot about it, and that was one of my biggest cons. It's not my biggest con, my biggest, but like, and another pro I have is like, they do her mental breakdown so well, like they visualize it, because like, so the time span of this entire movie takes place over a weekend, so it's just one day, one night, one day, and then another night, and they do it so well because like, so she has a mental breakdown, she starts hallucinating, seeing Gerald and a version of her that got set free, and so like they split Gerald and the free version of Jesse. They're like talking to her in her bed, and she like, so her in the bed is like the one that's freaking out and everything, and so the Gerald version is the one that's her self-doubt, like because he keeps telling her like she's gonna die, she's wasting all this time, she's a piece of shit, how can you do this? And then there's the free Jesse, who's like the one that's trying to get like, come on, you're smart enough, you can do this, you need to survive, like, and so everything, and then every little thing that happened before she was handcuffed, like they point out, like is very key, and you can just from how it's shot, like Gerald putting a glass of water on the top, like there's headboard, there's like this little shelf. Gerald puts a glass of water on there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm thirsty," and they're like, "Think about it. Think about what happened before this happened. Like, how are you going to survive?" And she remembers by like replaying everything that happened before she was handcuffed.
Right.
And like she was like, oh yeah, there's that, and then she had to make a makeshift straw with the tag because she just bought a brand new dress, and like it's really cool. These small details end up hinting throughout everything.
Well, and like again, like you were saying, that's like Stephen King names it. Like they're just like the small details. Like he makes small details into mountains of details.
Yeah, and it's done really well throughout this movie. And so the only moment in the movie that really got me was, so it's the first night, and Gerald's talking to her, and he's like, do you see, she notices the dog, so there's a dog in the whole movie. The dog is really important, so I don't want to spoil anything, just know that there's a dog there. It's a stray, and so it plays a key part into it. But at some moment, you notice the dog growls and then whimpers and runs away. And so then she wakes up and she sees a figure in the shadows, and he walks up and he's super creepy and awkward and like just menacing looking, and like that was the only part that really got me. I was like, oh fuck, because like I was thinking it's Stephen King.
It was a real creepy part too. I'm not gonna lie. Like always those scenes where like the character is just like pale and just like standing in the corner or just like fucking.
And like the thing was that there was no sound. Like, even when he stepped forward, like, it was just her, like, whimpering, like, saying, help, I need help. And then she was like, oh, wait, you're not real. And, like, and he opens his little bag, and it has jewelry and a bone. Like, that's it. That's in this little box. And then she falls asleep, and then he's gone. And so, like, Gerald, throughout the whole movie, is like, warning her that nighttime's coming, death is coming to get you, and stuff like that. And so it's all done very well, and then you end up learning her backstory of why she was like so sexually repressed, and like it's so fucked up, and it hit home because you're like, it makes you think like, god damn, man, like I don't want to spoil too much because that's the thing about a Stephen King movies, you can't give too much detail about what happens in the movie without spoiling key plot points.
Say like the overall term of it, but we can like avoid the details.
Okay, so
because I was just adding on to help you case out because like the details were make it really shocking.
Yeah, and so you find out that she was a victim of sexual abuse when she was a kid, and that's why she was very like. And you find out why she doesn't like the song from the beginning, and why she was very nervous about the handcuffs and freaks out with the handcuffs, and like. I'm not going to say like a specific line that caused her to have her mental breakdown because that spoils it.
You've given them enough dots. Yeah, they can connect to themselves.
Yeah, and so that happens, and then you find out that she was actually that her marriage with Gerald was actually nowhere near as good as you kind of think it is in the beginning. You know, like
like it seems very romantic.
Yeah, in a sense, and like. And then you find out that their marriage is really bad. Well, it wasn't like really bad, but it was very oppressive to her because like she never talked out of line. She was a very good, like a good, wholesome, old timey styled wife. Where like if the husband did anything wrong, she wouldn't say anything, or if he did do something wrong, she'd just point it out but wouldn't bring it up and stuff like that. Like you find out that he's been having to take Viagra for them to have sex, and she never talked about it. She never brought it up or anything. And so there's a few hints of gore in this movie. There's not a lot of gore. Not a lot. But the times it happens, fuck.
Right. I think because the time, like how little it is when they do integrate it, like it's so much more intense.
Well, it's not even that. It's just the amount of detail in it. So there's a point in the movie, like it's a little bit of spoiler. Oh, fuck, I can't talk about it, but just know there's this point with her hand, and god damn it.
It comes down to survival.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a brutal
scene. It is
so like, bloody.
Yeah.
And she's so badass for doing it.
Yeah. And so like, but yeah, so that's kind of my overview. All I know is that I hated the ending. I hated it so much. I think if it ended 5 minutes earlier, it would have been so much better.
Ooh,
I'm just saying.
I don't know. Should we talk about the ending?
Okay. So for the next 5 minutes, this is going to be complete spoilers for the movie.
All right. Let me get a timer ready.
Yeah.
Wait, just hold on.
I'm saying 5 minutes. We might not take up the whole 5 minutes, but I think we're going to need to take up the whole 5 minutes.
Try to take up the whole 5 minutes in 3, 2, 1, go.
Spoilers. So you find out that the grave robber is actually the Moonlight Man. And so because Gerald at one point in the movie tells her that death is going to come and get her. He's going to kill her. He's going to take her wedding ring, and he's going to take a bone. Because that was the grave robber's thing. He would
his MO.
Yeah, his MO was taking one bone, and so he ends up. And so then she talks about, like, at the end of the movie, she finds out that he's actually real because she notices that when she got free and everything, that the police never found her wedding ring, because when she got away, she was delusional from ripping her hand out of the handcuffs and everything, and she was super delusional and stuff, and she sees the Moonlight Man again, and she just drops the wedding ring in his little bag and then walks away saying that he isn't real, he's the Moonlight Man.
Yeah.
He could only live by moonlight. And so I feel what ruined it was that, like, I think it should have kept that mystique, because then she ends up getting all this insurance money, and she ends up opening up like a little...
Did she open a dress shop?
No, she opens up a sanctuary pretty much for kids who were sexually abused by their parents, because you find out that her dad was actually raping her when she was a little kid.
Yeah.
And so she talks about that, and then it shows her talking to a little girl and saying what happened to her when she was 12 years old, that when her dad jerked off behind her, and then he started to rape her when she was little, and he, like, convinced her that she can't tell her mom because her mom would take it out on her and blame her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so so she starts doing research about the grave robber, and you find out, and he actually got busted because he started raping male corpses, or having sex with male corpses, and then he started killing men and raping them before taking a piece, and he got caught because he tried to cut the ear off of a guy, and the guy fought him off and called the cops and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, and he has this, like, disorder where it makes him all tall and gangly, and, like, his bones are deformed and stuff like that. And so she ends up she goes to the courthouse during his sentencing, and, like, goes, "Hey," and he turns around and he's like, "You're not," and, like, repeats what she says, "I'm not real, I'm not," and he's like, "I'm not real, I'm not real, I'm just made of moonlight." And she just goes up to him and goes, "You're not as big as I remember," or some shit like that. I can't remember the exact line, but it was something along those lines, and then walks away into the sunset, and it ends. I think that ruins the movie, like, a little bit. Like, that, and I think it should have ended when she was talking to the little girl about what happened to her when she was a kid. I think it could have kept the whole mystique, because, with Stephen King thing, because the whole movie, she's hallucinating. She's hallucinating seeing Gerald still alive and seeing herself, and then seeing death incarnate, which ended up actually being the grave robber. Because it was that small detail in the beginning where she just hears on the radio there's a grave robber going around and stuff like that. It would make sense of why she would see this horribly disfigured person and stuff. So,
I like the ending. Can I say why I like the ending?
Yeah.
So, which, by the way, the man who plays Moonlight Man is Carl Stryken. He's been in a lot of movies and has actually did, like, a really good job as the Moonlight Man. I just wanted to add in. But I liked it because the whole, like, hidden message throughout the whole movie is that she has been looking to and taken advantage of by men her entire life. Mm-hmm. And so when she's always felt small because of it, whether it's because of her trauma from the sexual abuse, or being, in the same marriage with the man that, is just like her father, or being hunted down by a man. Like, I'm not trying to make this, like, a thing about, like, feminism, but, like, the thing I'm making is that her line of being like, you looked a lot bigger, I think wasn't just directed to tear down the killer, but also something that she can finally say to all the men who did her wrong in her life and may, have caused her trauma. And that's why I get what you're saying, though. I totally get it.
Well, like, I kind of get that because, when she's walking up to him, she sees her dad, and then she sees Gerald, and then she sees the Moonlight Man.
Yeah, because she isn't just talking to the Moonlight Man. She's talking to all the men, being like, I'm woman, hear me roar. I am doing something good, and I am changing the world for the better, and you are a lot smaller than I thought you were. You weren't as big of a problem as I thought you were.
Yeah, but I feel like it would have been a better impact, because she talks about how she can't sleep at night and everything,
right?
And stuff like that. I feel like it would have been a lot better if she actually said it to the vision, of the Moonlight Man, instead of him being a real person.
Yeah,
because, like, that's what I think ruined it, is the fact that he was a real human being there. And, like, I feel like they just kind of shoehorned in an actual thing.
Yeah. And we're back from the spoilers.
That's why I kind of, like, stop. Like,
no, I get what you're saying, but I think they did it well for like including that ending. But I totally understand what you're saying about like her connecting with the little girl.
Yeah.
Like I totally get what you're saying. Like how that would have been like a good ending. Even like if it ended with her like talking about like why she can't sleep at night anymore. Like that would have been good too. I'm just saying why like I like the ending as well.
Yeah, no, I know, and I get that, and like I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
You don't
accept it.
Exactly. Be kind to everyone. Accept opinions.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing. You should definitely watch it. And honestly, in my opinion, it's a good rainy day film. Like it really is because like it makes you think. It really brings you in. Like they did such a good job with this movie and everything. Like and you like from the get go.
And it's intense.
Because the other thing is like the thing that I like about this movie also is like it's something that could actually happen.
Well, and you know what's funny is that we both picked movies where it focuses on one character dealing with their own traumas and psyches.
Yep, and it has a very small cast.
Yeah, and it's funny just because it's like Carla, she does such a good job in this movie, and it's so intense, like the entire time, especially with the wolf. Like, it's just nuts. Like,
So, but yeah, it is. And so, a couple fun facts. The book Midnight Mass that Jesse throws at the dog in this movie was written by Kate Siegel's character from Hush, 2016, which was also directed by Mike Flanagan. Oh, ha!
yeah.
And then Gerald refers to the dog as Cujo, which is a reference to the Stephen King book by the same name. This is cool. The headboard of the bed is the lower half of the laser glass from Oculus 2013. And this is a cool fun fact like that I kind of talked about a little bit during the spoilers, I think. I don't know. But anyways, the movie features virtually no soundtrack during the course of the film. So like the few points that they actually use music in this movie like are for a reason. Like there's no like sound, otherwise it's completely silent. Like there's no music whatsoever. So I thought that was really, really cool. So in the novel, the solar eclipse in question is the one of July 20th, 1963, whose path totally crossed Maine. In the movie, it is presumably the one of May 30th, 1984, whose path totally crossed New Orleans. Huh.
Yeah.
Well.
Can I point out one?
Sure.
So, the one I wanted to point out was that Gerald. Oh no, you went past it. Sorry. Gerald saying we should take our medicine is a reference to the novel The Shining by Stephen King, where Jack tells Danny to take his medicine. See? Stephen King nods all around.
Nice. Yeah, one more. When Gerald says all things serve the beam, this was a reference to author Stephen King's Dark Tower novel series. So yeah, I definitely think you should watch it. I mean, it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, that means it's easy access. It's definitely a good movie, and you can relate to Jesse throughout the whole movie, and just mostly in the aspect of like it's just like something that could actually happen, and that everyone has like a skeleton in their closet that they have to fight every single day and have to overcome, and she overcomes it.
Yeah.
And like I think everyone could relate to that, whether it's similar to the situation that she had, like, you know, the skeleton in her closet that she had to get over, and then also just like the fact of like being alone and having to face your fears and everything. So I definitely think it's definitely a movie you should watch.
I agree.
Like it's a really, really good Stephen King adapted movie. So.
I completely agree. And with that, listeners, we are at the end of another movie review episode of the podcast known as the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. At this time, do we have anything to announce? I don't remember.
No, we already announced the collab with
Life of the Party.
Life of the Party last
the
episode.
Life of the Party. Sorry.
The Life of the Party.
It's the Life of the Party. The part is very important.
And we'll update everyone with more news once we figure out the details.
So with that being said, if you want to be caught up and be up to date with those details, please like us and follow us on Facebook, Punk Rock Horror Podcast on there, or our Twitter at officialphp.
On Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, #PRHP.
To which, so I know you guys don't get confused. I know our Twitter says at officialphp. I actually did try to go in there and change it, but can't. So I don't know if there is a way to change your Twitter handle. I had to do a little more looking into it.
Or if you want to help us out, just let us know. #duh.
Yeah, #duh. If you want to consider supporting the show and get
Christine.
involved.
Sorry. The movie about the car that we were trying to talk about last episode is called Christine.
God. Jesus.
So we don't need that #duh anymore.
It might be too late now.
Yeah,
this coming out on Friday. People have had like 4 days to like get on top of it and be like, oh, now I'm taking the chance.
I know.
Too late. You can't take it from somebody who's already done it. You can't take it from them. So,
I know.
Sorry. But if you want to consider supporting the show and be involved with some really dope rewards, please head on over to our Patreon, Patreon.com/Punk Rock Horror Podcast. And if you want us to send us your strange stories and band info, please send it to our email, punkrockhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, our website, punkrockhorrorpodcast.com. And with that being said, thank you guys and ghouls and gals for tuning in to another episode of the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. And we will yell obscenities to you next time. Podcast over.
Podcast over. Be kind.
Be kind.